Best movies of that era that's about absolutely nothing. The Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
Love that movie, but you watch it and it's kind of like, really? You want to talk about no plot, but still so much fun. But what a great name. What an exciting thing to have him part of it, and especially little boy Landis.
Yeah.
All right, so we also...
Yeah, I was shocked to see that, yeah.
So, as they said, we see a bunch of names that we're, not too familiar with, but they get their co-starring credit. We also get our composer, Leonard Roseman, who is going to write our music that I've already commented about. Mr. Roseman is a name that we should know because he also composed the music for Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
All right.
So he's already been a part of this. He's already well versed in the original score and what the kind of chances it took. And so he's having a lot of fun here. Richard, just because I know you had a doggy daddy again for a minute, but we kind of went through a lot of the co-starring just for the fact that, no offense to any of these lovely people, but none of them stand out enough that we're going to dive deep into who they are.
No
credits.
Yeah. A couple of them have Wikipedia pages, but nothing right. Extensive.
That's kind of what I found too. We have, and I mentioned about our composer who had already composed for Beneath, but next, and I did want to save this person for last, and that's Richard H. Klein, who is our DP. And the reason I wanted to save him, he has a long list of credits, 56 credits. He passed away in 2018 at the age of 91. He shot a lot of films that I would imagine the three of us have seen. He shot Howard the Duck. He shot Star Trek the Motion Picture, King Kong. I mean, he was a part of a ton of films. Now, one of the most exciting ones here is the 1968 Tony Curtis film, The Boston Strangler. Have the two of you ever seen that?
I don't believe so.
Maybe.
So it's an interesting film for that time because it really bothered people. They really thought it was too graphic, and part of the reason why is they would do a split screen technique. Now, obviously, that's Richard Fleischer, the director, chose that. But he shot this, and it's a split screen effect where we'll see Tony Curtis stalking the person and the person almost in the moments before, and it really unnerved people. So this is a DP who has a lot of skills, and I think you see that in some of these shots. That despite it being the back lot, I love the silhouette nature of people working in the foreground with the background and giving a lot of depth to it. So they're at least interesting shots. But this is where we have to get back to it. There's not a lot that happens in this because despite interesting shots, it's still an ape riding a horse.
We do enter some type of
Village,
city, some type of farm or area, and we begin to kind of get a look at what appears to be apes for sure. Are there humans in this shot? I can't quite tell.
I had that same question. You can definitely tell there are apes there, but I couldn't tell if there are humans there at all.
Well,
right,
I would disagree to that because I do think some of the people now the foreground you can't tell if they're because they're silhouette, but the people in the background you can definitely tell they're they're humans and not apes if you really look at who they are.
But it's happening so quickly, and it's done in that. It's done definitely in this era where you can tell that you're outside, right? There, yes. The background is brightly lit wherever the sun is, and anything that's not in the sun is kind of dark. I have no idea. At this era, were they trying to light up those moments, or would they just shoot on film and just kind of capture whatever they could?
They could bounce light if they wanted to, but with the budget for this film and probably the shooting time, and the fact that they're using entire shots when he's like going through that river kind of area, they use the entire shot. In the previous minute, the entire shot coming down the mountain. So, they're going to shoot. They're running and gunning. They're shooting as fast as they can, and maybe using the first takes.
Well, and I agree. That shot when he's riding through those marshes, beautifully composed with the reed kind of stuff in the foreground, and he's riding to it. But the fact that you don't at least create, and you could so easily do this, a 3 to 5 shot sequence of that where it cuts in, because if you're using a rubber lens, which is the ability to zoom in and out, you could, give me 10 seconds of him riding. Okay, are we racked in? Yeah, I've got the shot, keep riding. And you do that, and then it cuts in on these things. Now, I do think the silhouettes are very intentional because, to Sean's point, you can easily bounce some light in. You don't even have to pay. All you have to do is get a reflective board, bounce it in. It's also the fact that it's so composed so that the middle of the screen is exposed and everything else is silhouetted. I think that's him stepping in, trying to be a bit artistic with that shot.
So they're trying to be a little secretive in terms of what he's encampment or whatever he's coming in on. I noticed there were when this city or civilization or camp or whatever we're kind of moving into, I noticed how much more primitive it was just in its early shots compared to the last movie. I mean, just the clothing alone looks like former armored military salvaged kind of gear that you're wearing. It doesn't have the same slick black outfits. Nobody looks modern era clothing tattered. They look like they just have dusty old clothes.
Yeah, I was wondering in the new sequence of movies, they will give you explanations on how the apes get smarter, how humans devolve, that kind of stuff. This movie, I'm wondering, are we going to get an explanation on how apes are now riding horses and doing things, wearing military clothes that they weren't wearing before? I'm assuming he has a gun on him somehow. That before they weren't talking. Caesar was the only one that was to communicate with humans. So I'm hoping that this movie is going to explain to us how, in the X amount of time between the last movie and now, apes have gotten so much smarter.
I think you're hoping for
too much.
Way too much. I didn't even know how to nicely say that. But I'm also wanting to look, talking about how long these shots are. And when you're shooting a film like this, you want to get as much in the can as you can in a quick manner. This shot where the gorilla rides into the encampment that goes through the silhouette until he rides past and we see people working about is roughly about 23 seconds long. That's an incredibly long single shot, unless you're shooting Citizen Kane, where it's a very stacked composition. A lot of things are happening. This has got to be that they thought, how do we tell this story? How do we get this done in about 2 days, where we almost throw 6 minutes of film footage, usable footage, into the can? Because that is such a long shot. Mm-hmm. You look at the editing of it too. When the ape comes into camp, we get people in the foreground standing about, milling about, working for a good 12 seconds before we ever see the gorilla enter the frame, very far distance. And then it pans with them, and it's just like, good Lord, that's long. It's a great shot when he cuts across it. That's a wonderfully composed shot. It's just, Lord, that's long. But we see a lot of people that, to me, look like rejects, extras from Jesus Christ Superstar of the 70s, where they're all looking more like hippies than they are some kind of people in a dystopian society.
We've got some type of fabric or canvas stretched over some sticks that looks like it might be either some type of covering for either a hut of some kind. We see a ape walk down a tree off of a ladder. That's kind of how this shot ends, with seeing this ape walk down this ladder off of a tree. And it looks like there might be a tree house or something up in the tree itself. It's just kind of weird. It feels like when I was a kid and you'd build a fort outside and you just kind of ran around in trees with little small things. If you had a friend that had a tree house or a clubhouse, it just feels like that,
Yeah, at the base of a tree, they have like a deck built around it with fruit and stuff on it, and people are just like smelling at it and picking at it.
I do want to.
It feels like? It feels like when Kenner would make a play set for a movie, like the Dagobah play set. It feels like a play set.
That's actually my notes.
This is the Battle of Planet of the Apes play set.
That's in my notes for the next minute. I swear I wrote play set in big letters. Like, I want this play set.
I do want to give them Some big credit, though, for the construction of the final shot as the gorilla rides into the camp, and it's a canopy of trees with light coming at the center of the frame, so our eye is drawn there. There are pools of light everywhere cutting through the branches. The reason I want to give them credit is the amount of people milling about, making it feel very populated. And if you look very hard, you can see that some of these apes are pullover masks. It's one of the best uses of pullover masks because it's hidden in shadow and it's only for a second. It's really the way, I mean, the director, the assistant directors and whatnot, coordinating this shot was not something where you just turn on a camera and go. You had to really think this through. What do I want to see? How many people are here? It's really well done to establish the idea that this isn't just a small gathering of apes and humans. It's a bit of a society. They've got huts that, yes, do look like playsets, which the Planet of the Apes playset with the little tree house is still to this day one of my favorite toys from my youth. Did love that. But they do a really good job of at least letting us know there is some semblance of a society here between apes and humans. Just by the milling about. There are no humans being whipped. They're walking in and amongst each other, so we at least have that established and we understand that visually. And I love those moments when I say something and the two guys are looking at notes, which tells me, hey, let's move on. So, Richard, you got anything else?
No. There's some stuff for tomorrow for sure.
Sean, you done?
That's it for me.
I thought so. So that is minute 7 in the books. Boy, that one, because we geeked out about Paul Willams for so long, I actually forgot what minute we were doing. Minute 7. We'll be back tomorrow on minute 8. Until then, everyone have a great day.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
The minute.